Welcome to Her Ink Empire. I'm Justine Almaraz, and this is the podcast that redefines what's possible for you in the tattoo industry and in your tattoo education, not only in technical skills, but in business. This show is for fine artists, creatives, visionaries, artists of all kinds, even doodlers, who are ready to not just build a career, but a legacy. Here we merge mastery, freedom, and creative power to surpass the outdated industry norms, the outdated rules, and step fully into our creative power and roles as leaders in our communities. If you've ever felt like there has to be a better way, a better option to learn tattooing, to earn in this industry, and to lead in tattooing, you're in the right place. So let's build your empire, one bold, daring step at a time. Let's dive in. Welcome, Sergio. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so honored to have you.
Hi, Justine. Super excited to, of course, be with you here and meet you in person here through the video. Looking forward to share with our friends too and have a great conversation.
Yeah, me too. Thank you. So you're in Miami, I'm in Los Angeles, and what a cool, different perspective too. I'm curious about, you have so many amazing projects all happening simultaneously.
Sometimes it happens like that. Not always, but sometimes seems like all things roll in the same direction, right? It is kind of fun when it happens because I think one project kind of gives you enthusiasm and energy for the next one and the next one. So that's how I enjoy actually functioning better than when there's nothing happening. It's like, what happened? It's too quiet.
Yeah, I relate to that 100%. I like having lots of pots on the stove.
Exactly.
So what are you most excited about right now?
Well, I just came back from Chicago. I was there for about 11 days. I went for a project that's called Olmec Trails. I was invited to participate in this project with Mexican artists, 33 of them, which I love first when I received the email because it said an invitation, to be one of 33 artists. And my gallery name is 33 Contemporary. So I'm like, wait a minute, what's the number 33 here? That's a sign that maybe this is a good thing, right? So I don't know how they came up with the number 33 or why, but there's 33 artists, half of them from Mexico who live in Mexico, and the other half Mexican artists or Mexican descent artists who live in the United States in different cities. And the idea is to each one of us, we painted a huge reproduction of the Olmec Heads that the ancient cultures in Mexico carved out of stone. So they made these smaller replicas, 33 of them, so that each one of us paint them in our own style with our own ideas, and they will be on view in Chicago from June through October. So that's what right now kind of what makes me so excited, because I just came back from that, so still fresh in my head, and it was almost like I would say like almost like one of a self-imposed residency, where I went and said, okay, I'm going to put everything else on hold. I'm just going to dedicate just this time for this. And we did that. We made some great friends. We painted a mural in Chicago that was totally unexpected or spontaneous. So yeah, we did a lot of stuff. And that's kind of what makes me excited this particular week.
Yeah, so you're doing sculpture and painting on sculptures, or the sculptures are already
So yes, a great question. The sculpture was already made. An artist in Mexico City made the sculptures or the replicas of the Olmec Heads, and it was then given to each artist to paint. So we were flown to Chicago to paint them. So actually I'm representing Florida in this project and painting head, which had a lot of beautiful greenery and plants from Florida, and they turned out really good. I was actually quite excited. When you do something new, you're not 100% sure how it's going to turn out. I was actually quite pleased with it.
I saw those. It looked awesome. And then,
Thank you.
right?
Yeah, and it's really cool because each artist is using their own interpretation, their own idea of how they want to connect with the piece and with their Mexican heritage. So that was really fun. I really enjoyed that.
Wow. And so you're also an art coach and helping artists. And
That's correct.
been an artist for a fair amount of time and have been
Mhm.
very successful. You have, I mean, you go to your Instagram and you have multiple different projects. So one of
Yeah.
these is the ones that you're coaching artists and you're
Mhm.
helping discover their mission and
Mhm.
purpose, right? Would you say the
Right.
same
Yeah.
thing?
Mhm. Yeah, this that project started probably about 8 years ago. And prior to that, kind of like the context of how it started is because 20 years ago, in 2004, we started the gallery, 33 Contemporary Gallery. So the gallery began, and then I became a curator for an art center in Chicago where we had the gallery too. And so, working with artists from all over slowly, I began to really do a lot of coaching one-on-one with artists who would come to the gallery to talk and chat, and they needed advice, and particularly on the business and marketing aspect, right? Because there's the one thing that we all love as artists is walking in the studio and making the thing, right? Making the art, whatever that is that our friends make, painting, drawing, sculpture, photography, you name it. That's our first love. That comes natural to us, and that we could be there all day long. And but eventually, at some point, that artwork has to go outside of the studio and meet the world, right? And that's where a lot of times we get like, how do I do that? Or as particularly as the world continues to change. So as people were coming or artists were coming to our gallery and having conversations, about 8 years ago, we did a conference that we were invited to do on the business aspect, of being an artist. And to our surprise, there were almost 100 artists who showed up. So my wife and I like, well, seems like there's a need here, and we could, do more workshops or more, kind of things in person, but there's only a small number of artists we're gonna reach that way. The only way we can reach and help more people, more artists, is to, do a formal coaching program that is online, so that way we can help artists from around the world. Because the reality is that what we are facing here in Chicago is the same thing that you're facing in LA, or somebody's facing in London, or somebody's facing, in Asia, because the world is interconnected, and the things that we all need as artists, are similar no matter where we are. The only thing that varies is the context of who we are, where we are, and what we make. Besides that, the world, works around social media, marketing works around that. Every artist needs a website, things of that nature, that are still the same. So that's when we started the program, and through the program, we help artists to, find kind of their uniqueness, right, as individuals, as artists, put together their business as an artist too, and also gain confidence, which is also super important. So my wife, she's a psychologist, and so she brings that component to her program where, she provides courses and live sessions and guided meditations and things like that, because we believe really to be a successful artist, you got to start from the inside, right? You got to believe it. You had to, if the mind is not in the place to succeed, it's not going to happen, right? You got to have that. You got to believe it. You got to build that self confidence that, what I make in the studio, it actually matters in the world. So that's kind of how it started, and we're still doing it.
I love that. That's a really important component to it. You're so right. It does start in our mind, and
Yeah.
like that idea that if you can conceive it and believe it, you can achieve it. Napoleon Hill. Well,
Exactly, right? Yeah. It's exactly the same old story continues to evolve. You have to believe there's a treasure out there for you to get up in the morning and go and try to find it, right? And that's what makes the whole difference. And I think for us, particularly for us as artists, we have a way of working where, we walk in the studio and it's myself and my own voices, right? And that's it. And sometimes those voices could be quite loud. You know, maybe your art is not good enough. Maybe the curator's not gonna like it, or the collectors, or all these voices that sometimes get on the way. And for many years, I worked in advertising, before I opened the gallery and so on. And when I walked in the office, there was a team, there were people, we were talking, there was immediate feedback, and you know, none of that exists in the art studio. It's just us and the work and our voices. So, that's why I think it's so important that, we work on this mindset part of our career, so that, we can wake up in the morning and say, you know what, I'm going to give it a try again today. Maybe yesterday wasn't the best day, but, today it's a brand new day. So I'm an artist on a mission. I can get to do this.
Yeah, artist on a mission. Yes. So what I also noticed that you're doing that I don't see a ton of artists playing around with is
Mhm.
this next level. Well, your program
Uh-huh.
next level, but also the NFTs, augmented reality,
Yes.
AR, VR. Can you talk to that? Like, what do you feel
Yeah.
about I know I've heard NFTs are where it's at. Everyone's got to make their art into NFTs. And then I've also heard NFTs are dying out.
Yeah.
No, like what's your experience? Because you've got some beautiful NFTs available.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so I think, I'm always been interested in technology. That's something that when I went to art school, I was doing painting and drawing, and I was taking classes for graphic design, Photoshop, Illustrator, any type of technology that was available for artists and for creators. So I think that always has been something that interested me. So when NFTs came around, a couple years ago or 3 years ago maybe, I was quite interested, and so I spent and invested a lot of my time learning about NFTs and working with artists who were doing NFTs, understanding the technology and the why and the reason, and what they could do for artists and things like that. So I got quite invested on it. And I started to do my own NFTs as well. So I had some collections that I put out there. I sold out a couple of them, which was really fun. But with all things, I think it was like one of the things that came really fast, became really hip, and then it died out quite quickly in terms of what a lot of people saw it as a way to make quick money, and became also oversaturated with just about anything, and anything could be an NFT. And I think what happened is what eventually had to happen, which had to, as a new technology, we had to go to a period of cleaning all the stuff that is just not really good, right? Per se. And you know, I think that just happened. And for the last year or so, the cryptocurrency market, suffered quite a bit, and that included NFTs, and people who were buying NFTs also had a slowdown in purchasing, and because a lot of the sales went down too, and the market value for NFT. So I think as a technology, it's a fabulous technology. Is the idea that you can certify ownership, of a digital asset like you could never do before, particularly for a digital artist. Let's say I create an animation, right? And at the same time, I walk in the studio and I create a painting. Well, for the painting is there, exists. There's only one of them. If I give you that painting, now you have it, right? You may own it. I don't have it. It's no longer in my studio. For the digital asset is way different because it's digital, can be distributed. How do you know who owns it and things like that? So that's where the NFT, became pretty much a certificate of authenticity or ownership of who owned what. And yeah, it wasn't just JPEGs, because yeah, you can multiply a JPEG endless numbers of times, but only one person could be certified as owner. And that's kind of what it was. And it still is, it's still, I think, as a technology, I think it's still going to be used. And right now, I think we're going through that transition of, okay, we lived through this NFT craze, and now let's find the correct applications and how it will be used in the future. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I'm not doing NFTs right now, just for full disclosure. When the market went down and everything started to go crazy, I actually stopped making NFTs too. And because it's a time consuming, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, what do I want to, how do I want to spend my time? What do I want to create? And at this moment, I didn't see the need to create more NFTs, so I stopped.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That's really interesting.
Yeah. And that adds, just one quick maybe word of advice for any artist who gets on their Instagram DMs from people who say, I love your art. I want to buy it as NFT, or, I know a bunch of NFT collectors. Be careful. All those are scams, because right now the market is down. So they're going for artists who do not know anything about NFTs. And yeah, so, just be aware of that.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. That too, for sure.
Yeah, we all get those emails or those DMs.
Sergio, what is your creative process look like? Like, how often are you producing art? And
Mhm.
later I'm going to ask you about selling art, but I'm curious, like,
Mhm.
what's the production like for you right now?
Yeah, and I think it's all connected. That's something that many years ago I made a decision, right? Of I'm not going to put myself a quota. Let's say I'm gonna spend such a number of hours in the studio. If because the moment I set a quota for myself, if I didn't make that quota, then I would punish myself, right? I would not. I would feel less of an artist. I would feel guilty because I did not meet my self-imposed quota. So, and because I do other things, which I consider everything to be part of my art career, I don't consider them to be separate, the studio from the gallery, from the education component, the coaching, or the curation. I see my art career as all of those things as one, in which I get to do different things that I love and enjoy. I enjoy most of them. I went to take down a show also while I was in Chicago that I had put together 2 months ago. It was called Awakening Earth, and it was a beautiful show. So, that is, I'm spending countless hours putting together that show, installing the show, taking down the show. I could be in the studio making art, right? But I don't see it as that. I don't see it like, well, I wish I was in the studio instead I have to be here putting nails. The way I see it, I love doing this. This is something that I love. So therefore, to answer the question specifically, my studio practice is very fluid. Just like I spend, just like the last 11 days, making art every day, working at it, and I didn't do much of the business. So there are things I had to do. Now that I'm back, I have to catch up and I do a lot of other business things. So this week and next week, I probably will not do any art, to tell you the truth. And I'm totally fine with it. I'm totally okay with it. That's how I chose to live my life and my career as an artist, right? I'm not saying you have to do what I do, and I'm not saying I'm right or you're wrong. I'm just saying that's what I chose, right? And as a choice, I'm happy with it. Yeah, some people may say, well, if you don't make art every day, or artists need to make art every day, or, well, that's again a self-imposed quota that you're giving yourself, or somebody told you, but you have to do you have to make the choice of what art career you want to live, and then don't criticize what others choose, right? That's kind of my way of seeing it. And the artists who work every day in the studio and they work in every day in the studio, and I love it. That's awesome. That's not me,
Mhm.
right? And I'm okay with that. So that's why there's no specific answer to that. And the same thing when it comes to the marketing and the sales and all aspects of it. It's because I like to work in series, for example. Typically, I like to then do a series and then do a full release of that series. Then do the marketing for the release of the series, maybe 3 or 4 pieces. That's when I will be pushing the sales really hard and things like that. And when that series is over or those pieces are sold or whatnot, then it's okay. Then I enjoy being an artist. So I like the concept of push and pull. There's time to push the sale really hard and say, hey, no question that thing is for sale, and everyone needs to know that's for sale and how much it costs and where to buy it. And then there's times in which, it's okay. Right now I'm not pushing this. I'm enjoying being an artist. So I enjoy those cycles of how I use my time and my energy.
I like that. What would you say to
Yeah.
the multi-passionate artist that likes to create in many different forms and in your way as well? You are multi-passionate and
Hmm.
creating in different business forms as well too. So have you've heard that like if you're, master of none, if you're dabbling
Yes.
in everything, right?
Yes. I recently, last month, I gave a lecture here in Miami, and in the Q&A, somebody asked me, so Sergio, if you were to choose one thing, which one would you choose? Would you be the artist, or would you be the curator, or the gallerist, or the educator? Which one would you choose? And that was a good question. And so the way I answer that question is like, well, to me, it's they're in my particular case, I find them to be all the same thing. They're integrated. I don't like the analogy that okay, I have the artist hat or the educator hat or the gallery hat, because every time you put a different hat, you're becoming a different personality, right? You are embodying a different persona, a different activity, different something. I like to wear the same hat, in my own mind at least, to wear the same hat and just walk into different situations. And But I find that as the artist, I'm in the gallery and sometimes I see something that, like, man, that really inspires me in the studio, and vice versa. I think there's a lot of crossover information that is useful for me in the artist in the studio, or when I'm coaching somebody, right? Somebody may have a question on how to deal with a gallery, like, well, I was dealing with something like that yesterday, right? We had the same issue or the same problem, or this is how we solved it, this is how we did it. So I find that all the different aspects inform the others, and therefore I don't have a one that I would say I would just do the one thing. But that's how I'm wired. I'm not saying that everybody has to do that. Like you said, some people, all they want to do is just the art, and that's awesome, and that's fabulous. I celebrate that, and others who are like me say, you know what, I cannot just do one thing. I need to do 3 or 4. That is fine, but I think that the key component here, as you said, is that in whatever ones you choose, that you give it your best, that you give it your full capacity, your full emotion, your full energy, so that the others don't lag behind. And that's where learning where your limitations are important, right? Like learning, okay, when am I giving too much that now my art studio is really lacking, that my paintings are not as good as they could be. And that's something that each one of us has to manage, has to figure out what's that balance, and so that I'm happy with what I'm putting in the gallery, I'm happy what I'm putting as a show, I'm happy with the coaching program, and I'm happy with my paintings. The moment I'm not happy with one of them, it has happened to me. I speak from experience. There are times in which something is not right, so I have to step back and figure it out. Okay, what do I need to adjust to do differently, so that I can get back to it.
Yeah, well said.
Which probably is for you a similar situation, right? Because we are doing this conversation now. You could be in your studio making art, but you chose to do this podcast interview, right?
Right. Yeah, I know. And what you're saying, I love it, because it's giving us permission,
Exactly.
to just own exactly what I feel passionate about doing when I feel passionate about doing it,
Exactly.
Going with that flow, and what you're saying with cycles of that, just trusting it and going with it. Yeah, so cool. Okay, I got another one for you. What is feeling like, well, maybe not feeling, but providing you with the most fruits, maybe financially, in terms of selling originals, prints, NFTs you mentioned, or not so much right now, running a gallery, or being an art coach?
Which one is more fulfilling? Is that the question?
Yeah, maybe, yeah, and fruitful, really.
Oh, fruitful. Okay.
Yeah, really providing you and providing for you.
I think it's a combination of them all. I think it's the idea of having multiple channels of income, multiple streams of income, because no business of any kind will always be at its 100%. Every business has season, every business has ups and downs, every business has time where, like, oh my God, everything's selling, and then all times where, like, oh my God, nobody's buying, right? So there are, having multiple income streams allows you, to balance and to manage and to plan, as well. If you only have one source of income and something happens to that source of income, you're in trouble. We saw it in the pandemic. I had to coach so many artists who came to me and said, you know what, Sergio, my gallery closed. I never took the time to learn about marketing. I never took the time to start my own business, never took the time to, foster my social media. Now I don't have anything. The gallery is closed. What do I do? That was an artist who depended on one income stream, and when that income stream, which came through the gallery, collapsed or had to go, was in a starting point. So I think that's when we need to think about multiple income streams is a good option. And by multiple income streams doesn't mean that you have to go and become an Uber driver. It's find things that within your art career, with your skill set, your tool set, that you can also do. Let's say if you spend all day in the studio, well, then you can think about sales of paintings, sales of prints, merchandise, maybe education, like, coaching somebody to your technique, or doing events once in a while in your studio where you bring people in, and all those can become income revenue sources, licensing of your art. I mean, there's so many ways, so many ideas. Last week, no, was it last week? Well, a few days ago when I came back, or like last day, actually was the last day when I was still in Chicago, I did a quick video for my YouTube on how to maximize an opportunity, right? And like five things you can do to maximize an opportunity. And the last one was exactly on that, asking yourself, okay, out of this opportunity, how can I monetize it? Is there something I can do to monetize this opportunity? Can I do a print? Can I do an event? Can I do a commemorative piece, right? That's special because, X, Y, and Z. So it is that idea to finding ways to monetize your passion, which there's nothing wrong with it, when I went to art school many, many years ago, some 25, 30 years ago, when I had black hair, you know, art and money were like two separate things. It was, an artist would never take a business class, an artist would never, do what we do today. But the world has changed, and I always say, art is not about money. That's true, but you need the money to make the art that is not about the money, right? So, some people are lucky; they got an inheritance, or they have other big source of income, and that's fine. That's awesome. But others, we have to make it work. So, learning how to do it, create those multiple income streams, is an asset that I think can help anyone.
Yeah, well said. What would you say, what is the AR that you're working on? I know.
Yes, that's exciting too.
Yeah.
Yes. So augmented reality. Yes. So because I love technology, right? And many years, for 13 years, I actually taught at the university level, like graphic design, animation, and things like that. So I've always loved that as well. I don't teach that anymore, but I did once for quite some time. And the thing about an animation is that there's motion, something is moving, and we are all attracted to things that move, right? You look at a picture, it's fine, it's beautiful, it's static, but if something were to move, all of a sudden it catches our attention, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I started to get interested in augmented reality. Is the idea of using a static image that when you use a device such as your phone and you point at it with your phone, the phone becomes a channel or a bridge to reveal an animation or something that moves, or that is unexpected, from that image. So as technology continued to evolve and so forth, I found a company based in Vienna that's called Artivive, and they provide the technology for artists to do that. So I became an Artivive ambassador. I'm an ambassador for them. And the way it works is you use your mobile device with their app, and you create the animation. It's not that the phone creates the animation for you. You first have to create the animation, or the thing that's going to change or move or do something. You create that first. So you use the app to look at your artwork, and then what it does, it reads the image, and then it replaces it with the animation that you created. So the viewer gets to experience, an alternative image to what you have, or to what they're physically seeing. So it has like this magical aspect to it, right? It never stops me to amaze me when somebody, I have a couple of pieces in my home that are activated with AR and augmented reality. And so I'm like, hey, check this out. So I give him my phone, I open the app, I said, okay, look at it with my phone. So they look at it, and I mean, their eyes like, oh my God, oh wow, now they want to see every piece of art with it. But of course, it only works with the pieces that have the augmented reality feature that I have activated through Artivive. So it's a really great thing. I could, yeah, it's fun, but also could be used educationally. I have used it in exhibitions where, for example, I have some pieces that when you look at the piece with the Artivive app, you see a time lapse of how I made the piece. Or I have others where you see the layers of how I painted the artwork, right? So I took multiple photographs of different layers. So using the app, you can actually walk back in time through the piece So it is really fun. I'll send you some of the links so you can see them. And so there are multiple things you can do with it. You can animate, you can create layering, or you can add video component to it.
And it's all through that app.
Yeah, yeah, through Artivibe, yeah.
And I saw
And
that's connected to Canva too.
yeah, so you can actually create a simple Canva animation and connect that to Artivibe and boom. Yeah, the app is free. Anyone can use the app. You only pay for the amount of views that you get if you want. There are different plans that you can choose from. Anybody can try for free, but there's also you can then buy different plans to, let's say if you're gonna have a big exhibition, so there'll be a lot more viewers to it.
Wow. So this really is interesting because it is getting human beings into a physical space to experience AR. So it's
Yes,
not primarily only digital.
exactly, exactly. The only digital part is what you will see through the phone. And what's really cool about it is that, let's say I make an augmented reality of this painting behind me, right? Doesn't matter where this painting is, as long as you have the app, you can look at it. But also, let's say I have the painting printed on a T-shirt. It will also be activated if you look at the T-shirt with the app. Or let's say I have it printed in a book, or in my website, I have a whole page where you can see a number of my AR pieces. So you go to my website in the computer, and then you take your phone, you open the app, and then you can see it at work. So it doesn't matter where the image exists, you know, because it reads the image, not the actual physical object. It reads that image, whatever form it may be, on the sticker or on your T-shirt or on the canvas. So it's
Wow.
pretty fascinating. It's pretty cool.
Are you doing that? Are you putting it on other objects and in different forms?
I have done some things with it. Yeah, I have done something. I mean, if, for example, the image could be in a postcard, or I have done catalogs like books where, as you go through the catalog, the pieces have AR, augmented reality. So
Wow.
yeah, it is quite fun. And like I said, you experience a lot of my prints that I sell on my website do have augmented reality as well.
So do you have a little QR code on the title card or something where they scan the app or something like that? Or do
Yeah,
you?
yeah. So I include a little sheet. There's a sheet that says this print is activated with augmented reality. Here's the app that you can download, and then just point to the artwork. Very simple instructions.
Wow. I love that. You really are tapping into the future of this, and I don't think a lot of artists are, and I think that's really cool that
Yeah.
you're teaching and you are inviting artists to learn about business
Mm-hmm.
and technology and the future of where art is heading, because I believe that
Mm-hmm.
the more technology evolves, the more precious original art becomes, and the more
Mm-hmm.
precious human experience becomes, and the human touch becomes. And that's why,
Yeah.
like, as a tattooer, I believe that that's a fantastic additional stream of income for an artist, because
Mm-hmm.
learning that can,
Yeah.
I don't think that a machine or robot will replace that human touch that we crave, and same with
Yeah.
fine original art too. So
Yeah, and especially as we go into now all AI and all that stuff. Yeah, I think there's something said about the creative, the human touch.
yeah. Very cool. And do you think that NFT, or do you think there's something, or do you know of anything else that is going to make a virtual experience of experiencing art something you can monetize?
I
Or
think I think so. I think there will be more opportunities, and as we go, I think now with the sets like Apple and Meta, they're coming out with their goggles where you can experience an alternative universe and things like that through the devices or through glasses that are coming up and stuff like that. I think there'll be more ways to do it. I don't know how exactly that will yet to see. But something that's interesting too is that, for example, the saturation of images too. Don't you think about now, there's so much imagery out there in the system, in the world, that because now with AI, anybody can just go and give some prompts to the computer and you get, unlimited number of images. So at the same time, that I think what the artist brings when creating a work of art, or a tattoo in this case, or a painting or a drawing or whatever it is, there's something I think that's still magical about it, right? Where perhaps maybe somebody may not be able to distinguish on a computer screen, what was painted and what was created digitally. But outside of the computer screen, there's still that tangible element of the painting or the texture, the way light hits that object, the way something's painted or drawn on your arm, those things I think is the one thing that still remains unique and true to us,
Absolutely. Have you made any of your art with AI?
I have done tests with it where, for example, I have taken a painting. Let's say this painting, I do paintings where I use the human form, the human figure, in an abstract way. So I've taken like some images, putting them through AI to see if it can create something similar. And it's been interesting to see, some things look cool, some things I don't like, some things are okay. It still hasn't been able to kind of like reproduce exactly what I'm maybe thinking. But again, I think it's just a matter of time, who knows? But it's getting better and better. But, I see it as a tool also that I can use to explore ideas, or, to see something a little different to how I originally created. For example, what I did is I put a particular painting, which is a male silhouette, and then I said, kind of like different prompts to reproduce it as a female. See if we could actually translate that image and give me a female version of that image. And so far, what I have received is not exactly what I was looking for. It keeps trying to make it realistic, like tries to keep making it photographic in a way. Still hasn't found the balance between what I do, which is the abstraction and representation. Yes, you can recognize the figure, but it's abstract, or it becomes too ornate, or I just haven't got the right thing yet. But I think it's around the corner, or maybe if I keep playing with it, maybe if I have more patience, I might be able to get it right. But
Yeah, there's so much here, so much, right?
I know, yeah.
Time to be an artist and playing in all these different fields.
Yeah, time, and that's the aspect of time. How much time are you willing to spend on all these things when time is finite, and you have to decide how you use it.
Right. The big question.
Yeah.
And then how do you come back to, your idea of like every artist has a mission, right?
Uh-huh.
And how do you, if you have all these incredible ideas, bring them into the present and actually create them, manifest them, actualize them?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any advice for artists, multi-passionate artists, on how to fulfill this creative,
The voice, right, or a mission? Yeah.
this like burning fire of all these different ideas too?
Yeah. Well, last I think it was last year. It was in January. I was starting to really work in this idea of we're artists on a mission, and that's when I started to kind of like talk about it more and more, and in my podcast and in the shows and things. And it seemed like it started to resonate with a lot of artists. The idea that you're an artist on a mission, even if you are not very clear on what that mission is. Even if sometimes you walk in the studio and you're totally lost. Even sometimes you may feel like I don't know exactly what it is, but the whole message of Yours on a Mission is that in order to embody that mission, we gotta walk ourselves to the creative space, right? When you engage with the creative activity, that's when your mission begins to take shape. That's when it becomes tangible. That's when it becomes visible, experiential. So the whole idea of artists on a mission is, as you have one passion or multiple passion, is, in order to embody that mission, we have to get to work. We have to get to work. And by doing so, I think the mission will become more clear and clearer as well. And things that can help a lot is make work, right? Even when you're not even sure what to make, just make, and that will give you some steps. But also write. I think there's something about writing that helps us to clarify our thoughts or ideas, our mission, and really ask yourself, what my mission with my work, what is my work about? What am I about? And those, it's a good exercise. You just do it for yourself, that gives you a good exercise to begin to clarify what is it that you do, how you talk about your art, how you talk about the things that you do to others, so that you are more effective speaking, you're more effective, more clear in your mind as to what is it that you do. And I went through that exercise myself. I've been making art for many years, but what, I wanted to clarify my own art statement. Like, what if I would just really make my art statement, instead of longer, just really, really short, really, fine-tuned to what's my mission as an artist, right? And then what's my mission as a gallery or as a coach and so on. But, asking those questions helps us to clarify and think about it. But make, right? More than important is make. You can spend 3 months thinking about it and not making. But you can spend 3 days making, and that will give you more clarity than the 3 months that you spend thinking about it.
That's so true. Yeah, like action brings the clarity, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Like, for example, I decided, that I was going to talk about my art as a sanctuary. I never thought about that until I started thinking about, what's my mission. I want to talk about my art as a sanctuary, where the spirit meets the human experience. That's what my art is about. So I came out with those words and those ideas, by thinking about, I'm an artist on a mission, and what is that mission? How do I define it? How do I describe it? So, those words came to mind, and I continued to chew them, think about it, and it makes sense. So each piece is a sanctuary for, the spirit and the human experience to play, to collide, to exist.
Yes, absolutely. Beautiful. Beautiful. That's a really beautiful concept. It's
Thank you.
actually similar to, I named my tattoo studio or altars.
Altars? Oh, tell me about it. Why?
Well, because I think about Earth is like
Uh-huh.
our physical form is like this Earth form
Okay.
we experience the world through, and then it being this altar, like a sanctuary,
Yeah.
the divine, to God to inhabit and create through. And you think about body art or
Mm-hmm.
using your body as art or to create
Mm-hmm.
art,
Mm-hmm.
that's,
Mm-hmm.
I pulled those ideas together. Sounds really
I
similar.
love it. Yeah, it's very similar. Like, so in my work, there's two things I look at: is the cycles of life,
Mhm.
right? That there's a cycle of birth, growth, then age, and we die. So that's a whole cycle which exists in nature. And then also spirituality. That's another thing I really value in my work, right? So the value of spirituality is super important in my art. So there's two aspects, right? The one above and the one below, and the meeting in the middle. That's the sanctuary, right? That's the painting. So kind of similar to kind of your idea of your studio.
Yeah, it
There's a
feels
lot of similarities.
a lot. Yeah, I noticed that too. And I that's why I admire you and feel drawn to you and learning from you. And because that you're a more advanced version of what I hope to become, and that in the way I teach or help other artists, and learning tattooing as another form of creation,
Yeah.
and you're doing all of it, and I admire
But
all of the things, and that you're
but
making art and selling that too, and like,
thank you. But it's that's scary for me, like tattooing, because
yeah,
you see, I can screw up a painting and what, I just gesture it over and that's it. But you're working on somebody's body, right? That's body art. That person's gonna wear that thing and gonna walk around the world with that marking. Does that gives you does it feel do you feel the weight of responsibility? I'm putting my mark on somebody else's body to walk around the world with it.
yeah, it's a huge responsibility and a huge honor, so I don't take it lightly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I challenge you when you're ready to learn, Sergio. I'm ready. I'll teach. Let's
I don't
do
know.
it.
That really is gonna make me sweat.
Can you imagine your art on skin?
Like this is like, I don't know.
Yeah, you can totally, like I do an intuitive process where my
Uh-huh.
clients don't know what they're gonna get, and
Oh, really?
I ask them to share their intentions with me, and then I
Hmm.
free flow, I paint a design on them, and then I tattoo it.
Do they see it before you tattoo it, or no,
Yeah, so I
or it's
paint
too late? No.
yeah, no, I paint it on with this stencil design solution that's
Uh-huh.
for the skin, and then they look in the mirror and we modify it until they
Wow.
then we tattoo it right on the spot. So
Do
you can
you?
do it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that would make me feel a little better. Those is that where you feel like the spiritual component is also this connection with the or with another person, the interaction, the conversation, the trust that has to be built, in order to do this.
Yes. Yeah, it's very steeped in a spiritual practice for me on my side of it, even before I show up to the appointment for the tattoo.
Hmm.
To
How
make,
do you prepare mentally for it?
over the years, it's quickened, the process is quickened, but it
Okay.
used to be a long meditative process before.
Hmm.
And I would sit in meditation with my for a half an hour to an hour and see
Hmm.
then I would see the design
Yeah.
and feel it and feel them. Now, after
Yeah.
doing that for so many years, every single day, it's now instant. And I sit with them for a moment. I hear them speak. I see the design. I paint it on them and where we
Wow.
go. It's really interesting. But
That is a cool.
yeah. So
And I think you.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I think you touched that also in the preparation, right? The preparing,
Yeah.
like even now, a design that comes a lot faster. But the reason it comes out faster is because all the preparation that you have had for all previous ones, right? That you're able to do this now in such a quick way, and I think the practice of meditation, clearing your mind, and so on, it helps us, all of us, as artists, on performing to our best capacity throughout our day and the things that we are doing in
Yeah.
our business too.
I think so too. I think that when you can meditate, you can expand time.
Yeah.
Like that idea I've heard of collapsing time. Have you heard that idea?
No, what is that one?
Well, I think it's sort of the same concept.
Okay.
Collapsing or expanding time kind of feels like the same thing to me. And so in meditation, I can feel that happening. That,
Okay.
when you get in flow state,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
lose track of time and you do so much within even like
Mm-hmm.
it can sometimes feel like hours passed and it felt like a moment, or it's a
Mm-hmm.
moment passed and it felt like hours. It's kind
Yeah.
of that feeling, and I think when you go into a meditative state or you can click into that flow state, you don't even
Yeah.
meditate because you can click in there, and that is
Yeah.
very cool to practice to get to that quickly.
Exactly. That's awesome. I love it. No, thank you for sharing. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm so grateful and honored to get to speak with you today and share this conversation and time with you.
Thank
Thank
yes,
you.
thank you, Justine. Thank you for sharing also the great questions. To have a chat, and yeah, it's just sharing what the journey we all have been through, and each one of us has a journey, but we all learn from each other.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I know you're going to help so many people and are helping so many people, but and through this interview.
we
So
hope so. We hope so. We hope so. Thank you for having me.
yeah, totally. Well, I look forward to seeing you in the coaching program too and learning from you more too. And
Yeah, of course. Yeah, anyone who wants to kind of follow the activity that I do, the best place is through Instagram at Sergio Gomez Art. That's where you can find me every day. That's my channel of choice.
yeah, and you have a gift. I forgot to mention that. Thank you so much. You have a gift you're offering, and it is the 21 must-have emails. Can you tell us about that really quick?
Yeah, so I was thinking a while ago, what if I collect all like the best scripts that I have used over the years, which they're like all over the place, and put them all in one PDF, so it's a lot easier. So I can use them. A lot of the resources I create, I always think that how can I use it myself, right? So now that I'm using it, well, might as well let's share it with other people. So I wanted to create this kind of like library of 21 scripts that we can use for different things. Like, for example, let's say you go to a party tonight and you meet a gallery director, right? What would be the next email that you want to send them tomorrow? Well, I have a script for that, right? Or maybe you meet a collector. What would the email that you want to send them should say? So I have a script for that. So that kind of thing, 21 very useful scripts that anyone can use. And the key is, you look at them, you copy them, and then you make them your own, right? You don't want to just copy and paste and put somebody's name, but you want to make them your own so that sound like you. But it gives you, it's like a template that you can customize, and it helps me a lot when I'm learning something and I see a template like, oh, okay, that's how it's supposed to do. Okay, now I can make my own, right? So that's the whole idea. Simple PDF, you can just copy and paste it, use it as you wish, and then make them work for you, the same as I'm making work for me. So yeah, it's a great resource and available to all our friends.
Perfect. Wonderful. So
Yeah,
much.
I have forgotten about that. Yeah, so thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, you're welcome.
When you said I have a gift, like, okay, shoot, which gift was that? Okay, yeah.
I noticed that. I was like, I can't refresh your memory.
Thank you. No,
I think that's gonna be awesome. That's so cool. I've never thought about that.
yeah,
You get in that moment, you're like, well, okay, well, what do I need to write to that person? What do I say?
yeah, exactly. Well, thank you. Somebody, you have a show, and thank you to the curator. Here's one quick kind of like little bonus, right? I curate a lot of exhibitions. The previous show I just closed, there were about 45 artists, and etc. The other one, so I curate a lot of exhibitions with a lot of artists throughout the year. I've curated over 150 shows, and I can count, how many people actually after the show ends send you an email to follow up, to follow up to the curator, or to say thank you, or to stay in touch with the curator. Most of us as artists, we have the show. Hey, it's excited. The show ends. We're already thinking about the next one. We're moving forward, and that's it, right? So we can maximize that opportunity if you send a thank you email to the curator. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoy it. I love this piece or that, or it was really fun. Or, I'll keep you up to date on what's happening, or asking, what is your next show? What you're excited about? Shows interest, and shows that you're a person who really appreciate the opportunity. And guess what? We all remember those people, right? So that's why, these email scripts can work.
Yeah, genius. Awesome. I love it.
Excellent.
Well, thank you for doing what you do and being an inspiration and influence in my life and so many others. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for listening and being a part of Her Ink Empire. Remember, this is only the beginning. Your empire is already unfolding. Until next time, stay bold, stay aligned, and stay true to you as you build your artistic legacy.